Tales Podcast is a part of the Connected Podcast Network.
Well, hello there. I'm Aman Mazingo, your storyteller, and this is Season 2 of the AfroTales Podcast, where we journey through the Americas and the Caribbean to explore the tales that grew from its African diaspora. I want to thank Art by Chalet for the beautiful episode art, and especially thank you for joining us on today's adventure.
Chef. Yes, Cleo. Don't you love how we get to share our stories and recipes? Yes, I enjoy it greatly. Do you know what makes it possible for everyone to hear us? Yes, Cleo. Our voices, obviously. True, but it's also Anchor, a hosting platform that distributes the podcast to places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and others. Oh, yes. And isn't everything needed to make a podcast in one place? That's correct. And the best thing of all, Chef, it's free. Free, you say? Free. And all I had to do is download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So, you just had to download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Yep. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and do what we're doing now. Fantastic, Cleo. Simply fantastic. I know, Chef. I know.
The Magic Cow. There was a great uproar in the forest not far from the charcoal kilns. Great horrific roars followed by a massive stomping and growling. Everyone rushed to see what was happening. They burst into a small clearing to see Brud Tiger and a huge cow in a standoff. Brud Tiger was in a great rage, but that cow seemed unconcerned, just aiming huge, murderous blows at him. Everyone knew Brud Tiger, but the cow? Oh, he was a stranger. So they called out to Brud Tiger, who stepped back, narrowly escaping a bone-wrenching front leg kick to the head. He scurried to his crowd of friends, who plied him with a multitude of questions. Who? What? When? Where, Brud Tiger? And how? Well, he related all that had happened to them, while the cow challenged them silently. He had entered the clearing, had seen the cow, and asked her to step aside and submit to him, but she refused. He had then tried to box some sense into her, but cow had kicked him between the ribs. And the result was a standoff which everyone now has witnessed. Brud Tiger appeared to be bleeding from no one knows exactly where, and walked with a painful limp. He and everyone else was afraid of the strange cow who had happened to appear so mysteriously. No one else in the village but he knew what the cow was capable of. Chatty Brud Dog over there had a go at the cow. He was dealt a mean side swipe to the rear end as he tried to get out of range. Nobody else ventured near for a while after that. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Brud Anancy stepped forward, declaring, "I'm gonna find out what the cow's all about." His wife begged him not to, but he rebuked her and she was silent. He was the skinniest man in the village. "Hi there, beautiful lady," he called out to the cow. "Can I have a minute of your most valuable time?" First, she didn't answer. Then she nodded and that was all he needed. Soon they were both so close, whispering and nodding, that anyone would think they were old friends. The village folks soon became restless and began calling to Brother Anancy. "I'm busy now," he replied. "Go on and leave me alone." After a while, they all left, just as he asked. Later that evening, Anancy was seen entering his yard with the cow. Everyone, including Brother Tiger, was in awe. Suddenly, Brother Anancy became the richest man in the village. He had the most meat, the most milk, and the most butter. Even when he was out hunting or farming, the cow never seemed to stray far from his yard, and always greeted him on his return. Now, Brother Takuma, the thief of the village, became curious about Brother Anancy's wealth, and he decided to watch him. So one evening, while he was peeping through the thatch fence, he saw Brother Anancy approach the cow with a large pudding pan and a knife. He said some words to her, and her mouth dropped open like a door, and he entered her body. After a while, he reemerged with the pudding knife full of meat and returned to the house. Shortly after, he again approached the cow, this time with a large calabash which he filled with milk. Brother Takuma's body tingled with excitement. He silently crept away. Late that night, Brother Takuma was back. He pretended to be Brother Anancy, but the cow was half asleep and could not tell the difference. So he mumbled. Her mouth fell open automatically. Before going inside, though, he ran toward her hind legs and filled his mouth with some milk. He then grabbed his pudding pan and scrambled inside the cow's body. All around him, Brother Takuma saw tons of meat, steak, roast, liver, kidney, you name it. And then he saw a huge heart. He loved heart most of all. The cow had warned Brother Anancy not to cut any organs. So after loading his pudding knife, he cut a large chunk of the heart. But unfortunately, the cow fell down dead. He was trapped inside now. Brother Takuma panicked and started to make noise and more noise and more noise. Brother Anancy heard, and he quickly realized what the matter was and cut a large heap of maca, thorns, with which he encircled the cow's body. Then he used a very sharp cutlass to cut the cow open. Brother Takuma leapt out with all his might when he saw that he was free. Oblivious to the pain of the maca and the chop across his back, he literally flew home. He remained critically ill for a whole fortnight. In the meantime, though, Brother Anancy held a big funeral for the cow, and the sermon was about stealing. Anyway, everyone soon forgot about Brother Anancy's cow and what Brother Takuma had done. The end. Okay, so this was interesting. This is a story from Jamaica known as a Jack Mandora story, and was interesting to me. The whole, I want to say they call it the miracle cow, or you'll see Anancy and the cow. but it won't be Takuma. It'll be tiger. There's different variations of it. But I really like this version. I didn't know what Takuma was. So I actually contacted the writer of this particular book, this particular collection, and his name is Roy Comrie. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. If I am saying it wrong, I apologize. But I contacted him and asked him what Takuma was. And Takuma was, how he explained it to me is that back in the day, all the stories were basically humans. But at some point, they began to give them animal features. So, of course, you guys will know Anancy was a spider god, but he was also human at the time. So, tiger, monkeys, Takuma were all humans, but they were given characteristics of animals or animal features later on. But and he told me that he was part of the weasel or rat family, but was disowned by them, which is funny because so I look at him as maybe a mongoose or something like that ferret or something like that, one of those type of creatures. That's what I see when I envision Takuma, if he's between a weasel and a rat, But he was the thief of the village, and that's what he does. And that's what he does in this story, right? He's a thief. That's all he is. So, but he gets his just desserts, right? Because how they have to get him out of the cow and everything. So, yeah, I like that aspect. You want to steal other people's stuff, you deserve to go to jail. You deserve something to happen to you. You don't deserve to win, and that's how, period. You come steal my stuff, and if something bad happens to you, that's your fault. I shouldn't have to pay for you getting injured on my property or something bad happening to you while you're still trying to steal my stuff, But I love how Anancy smooth talked the cow, just went over there like, hey, beautiful, how you doing, baby? Let's go over here and have a conversation and see if we could do some things around here. Like he knew who the cow was or something, I like that aspect. I really do. But this was a fun story. I want to do another Jack Mandora, maybe a few more Jack Mandora stories. But a lot of them are in patois, which is the more traditional language or vernacular of Jamaica. So before I can do those stories, I'll have to definitely do some research on how to speak patois. I want to give it to you guys in their language as best I can. So I'll be trying to find some of my Jamaican friends and see if they can, read it and teach me how to say some of these words. Not everything's going to be patois, but the things that are, I want to be able to say correctly. And so I will be doing that and work on it. So for future episodes, or future Jack Mandora or just Jamaican stories in general. All right. But thank you. You guys are on this journey with me in this second season, and I'm loving it. And we're on our second island. We will move to a new region next month, and let's see where we go. Right. But as always, thank you for being on this journey. Thank you for taking time to listen. I love that you guys do it. And as always, have a blessed day. Okay? Make sure it's blessed. Make it blessed. AfroTales Recipe of the Week. Chef Noel Cunningham's Curry Oxtails. Ingredients: 4 pounds oxtails cut and trimmed, 1 teaspoon salt, pinch of black pepper, 3 tablespoons curry powder, 2 tablespoons oxtail seasoning, 2 tablespoons vegetable oil, 1 onion diced, 5 garlic cloves diced fine or crushed, 1 large garlic clove is equal to 1 tablespoon crushed garlic. 1 Scotch bonnet chili pepper. 4 allspice pimento berries. 4 sprigs of thyme. 5 cups of water. 2 tablespoons grated ginger, optional. Directions: trim off as much fat as you can off oxtail pieces. Wash and drain. Then season with salt, black pepper, and oxtail seasoning. Mix well and let marinate in the fridge for a few hours. Heat the oil in a heavy, deep pot on medium heat. Then add the diced onion and garlic. Turn the heat down to low and cook for about 3 to 4 minutes. Now, add the curry powder, heat still on low, and toast for another 3 to 4 minutes. This step will awaken the spices which make up the curry blend. Now, add oxtail to the pot, and meanwhile, in the same bowl you marinated the oxtail, add the water and stir around to pick up any remaining marinade. Set that aside. Place the lid on the pot and bring to a boil. It will release natural juices as it comes to a boil. Lower the heat to a simmer, cover the pot, and let it go for about an hour to 2.5 hours. Remember to stir frequently and add boiling water as needed. Then remove the lid, turn up the heat, add thyme, scallions, pimento, and seasoning to taste. Leave to simmer for an additional 15 minutes. When done, serve and be happy. That is your AfroTales recipe of the week. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for supporting and sharing this podcast with your family and friends. You can always find AfroTales Podcast on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to leave me a message or a tweet, I can be found on Twitter at AfroTalesCast, on Instagram and Facebook at AfroTalesPodcast, and now on Coffee at coffee.com/AfroTales Podcast, where you can financially support me for the price of 1 small cup of coffee. However you support, I thank you and I appreciate it always. So until next time, have a great day.